Hi kittens, I'm Julie Savone, psychedelic facilitator, integration expert, and your guide for this wild ride, The Inner Trip, 365 days with plant medicine. I've helped hundreds of people use plant medicine, primarily psilocybin, to heal, expand, and step into their next level. But this year, I'm taking it even deeper. For the next 365 days, I'm bringing you with me. I'll be microdosing, journeying, integrating, and exploring what it really means to live a limitless life, with plant medicine as a tool, not a crutch. So if you're ready to feel more alive, more clear, more limitless, and you're down to do it with mushrooms and a little bit of sass, you're in the right place. Let's take the inner trip. Kitten, today my intention is to help break you out of the spell of more information, thinking you need to know more or research more or plan more in order to take action. And I don't care if you are building a business, if you're dating, if you are figuring out next steps after a big life event. This applies across the board, and here's where this is coming from. So a few weeks ago, I made a post about things I don't deal with in my business, crash outs I don't have. That's a funny way I chose to say it. In my business, because of microdosing. And yesterday we were on the official kickoff call for Limitless Woman, and I saw one of my clients, and I say this with so much love because I've been there too, in this big analysis paralysis, right? Of thinking she needed to have this whole program built out, the outline before she could sell. And she's even identified that this is an issue for her, right? Where she will take notes on courses and listen to podcasts and read books and constantly be consuming information and planning, tinkering, almost implementing, but not quite, right? Never quite taking action. And here's action is king. You know, we need both. We for sure need both. There needs to be time for refinement, thinking, planning, yes, learning, but there needs to be action. And I would say, you know, some people, their gap is that they continue to take action and they never sit back and review the data. And so they're never quite sure like what's working or what's not because we haven't gone into that analysis. But conversely, in my experience, what I see is that analysis paralysis is truly the thing that is stopping so many people from getting even a fraction of the results that they want, whatever the result may be, right? We talked about in different circumstances. So I'll pull up this post. You can easily go find it on my Instagram if you are so inclined, if you want to look at it. But then I really want to talk about this issue that I see so commonly, and I think it's because many of the women that I work with are women who were or are like me. And when I say that, I mean they're women who did really well in school. They did really well in school. They were probably good little girls. They followed rules. They got good grades. And the United States school system, in my experience, very much teaches you that if you kind of follow these steps, you'll get the quote unquote right answer. And I think that really, pardon my French, fucks a lot of us up, because that's not the case in business. There is not some magic rule book in business. And, you know, she was saying, okay, well, I have this new program, but now I'm not sure what to do next, right? In terms of like finding the women to enroll. And I'm like, well, there are a million things. And so she was very clear on things she didn't want to do, right? So I tend to work with people for whatever reason. It is in my marketing, so that could be there too, who are just like, I'm not sure I actually want to build on social. And that's totally fair, right? I don't mind building on social, but it's not for everyone. And so we're talking about different things she can do, whether she is networking, or when she says building on social, what she means is that she doesn't really want to have a big social media presence, be pumping out content, showing up on stories, etc. But whether that be networking live, right? So going to events in her area. I also talked about, you know, she solves a specific problem for a specific group of women, where I'm thinking, okay, there's definitely Facebook groups about this, Reddit forums, other places where she can go and be of service. Because that's a big thing too. You know, I had this conversation with you before about like sales calls, and how a sales call really isn't a sales call until the end. It's really more of a discernment thing at the beginning, a curiosity of like, is this something that's actually going to help people? But I think we have so much negative energy around sales, and that we assume so much is sales. We put so much in the sales bucket that it muddies the water of everything else, because truthfully, a sale isn't, it's not a sale until we get to the end. So even in her mind, like going into these forums, and what I was saying was, go into these forums, look at what your ideal client is moving through and struggling, and be of service, right? Of show up, not be like, well, hire me and we'll fix it. More like, okay, this is what you're going through. Like, here's one next step. Here's a clear action that you could take. You know, here's a person to lean on. Here's someone who's been where you're at, who knows what you're going through, right? And just show up in that way and connect in that way. But her issue was that she was looking for, and I could see it in her face. I could see it in her face on the call. She was looking for me to tell her, okay, you're going to do 1, 2, 3. And those 3 things, you're magically going to get a client, and you're going to repeat that process, and that is how you quote unquote win in business. But there is no thing like that in business, right? In business, it's so much more of a Lego DI. It's not even a Lego. I feel like Legos come with instructions, right? We're just out here on an island. We got some rope and a hammer and a coconut, and it's like, build a boat. You're thinking, what? Right? That's business. And it is a lot of trial and error, but the trial only happens if you take action. And so many people I see are paralyzed in inaction. So this was the post, right? The post was, shit I don't deal with in my business because I microdose. Things that I don't struggle with because I am microdosing. So one of the big things that I wrote about was, I never think about burning my business down, especially when I'm not seeing the current results that I want. Because, and this goes back into the action taking piece, I really do approach it like a scientist, meaning I will do things in my business, right? I will experiment with a different type of content, or I will test out messaging around an offer, and then I'll look at the data that I am receiving from that thing. I was going to go into science back in college. I really wanted to ultimately get into research. So my plan was to go to med school and then get into research, get a PhD in oncology specifically. And so I'm familiar with the scientific process. I worked in a research lab in undergrad. And here's the thing, that this was a big reason why I couldn't have personally gone into research. So much of the scientific method is failure. And be like, well, it's not failure because you gained information. Yeah, Karen, I freaking hear you. But it's fucking annoying. Every experiments happen. There's like no scientifically significant or statistically significant results. And you're like continually tinkering with the hypothesis and the variables to try to get something to fucking happen. And it's like, oh my God. Most of the research that happens out there does not lead to a statistically significant result. You know, so many people are in a lab trudging along doing these experiments to get to the end and think like, I don't know. Nothing really happened. They might see something and then change a variable and continue over and over again. And, you know, now that I think about it, that is really what happens in business, because so much of what you do in business is like, nope, this really didn't get me the result I want. Guess I'll go back to the drawing board and tinker with these things. But so many people don't approach it like that. Like, they don't know that they're going to have to fail on repeat to get the result, because business is a lot of freaking failures. But also, people are trying to do too much at one time. Like, a true scientific study is controlling and changing certain variables, right? Not all the variables, but if you think, oh, I'm going to start a podcast and I'm going to start doing all this outreach and I'm going to change my content in this way, but I'm going to change my content every single day. It's like, whoa. We have changed so much that we can't pinpoint the result to any one thing. So I do very much approach my business like a scientist. I am very open to failing multiple times. I've failed so many times, you guys. I failed so many fucking times. I was in so many niches before I was in this niche. Even this niche, you know, I had I had a successful year where I was like, okay, things are working. And then I had very similar results the next year, like maybe even a few $1,000s less, where I was like, okay, but I still have evidence. And then I had a really great year. I was like, okay, yes, like here we are. This is really what a business is. And then last year I had gone backwards, not quite to where I was in the beginning, but I was thinking, what the hell am I doing? And then this year I've already hit my highest year yet, like very excited to be, you know, now have like a multiple 6-figure business. But it's like, I failed so many fucking times, and you just have to be available for that. You have to be ready for that. And you can't constantly be changing everything. You can't constantly be changing your messaging and your offer and like your content and all this stuff, because you don't know what works. And then you don't really know what's contributing to the result. So I do treat my business like a scientist, but I also have like what I like to say, burn the boats, meaning there's no going back for me. Right? I guess I could, but like it never once crosses my mind. If people are like, oh, would you ever go back to being a lawyer? I make a throw up sound, and then I say no. Right? Like it's just not, it's not happening for me. I'm very committed to being in this business. So there isn't another option. It's not like, oh, if my business works, it's like, no, I will keep working at it like a scientist until it does, right? Or until I get the results that I want. This is another one that I see that comes up a lot for people, and this honestly is a big thing tied to action. When I really sit down and look at this post, all of it comes down to the fact that I take massive action in my business. And I sit down and refine too, as we talked about, but I think for most people, analysis paralysis is what's holding them up, and you just got to start taking action and looking at the feedback that you get. And feedback doesn't also just have to be a tangible result like a signed client. It could also be, how do I feel about this process? So if, I encouraged my client yesterday and said, little someone, like, find a local group that you could go to, right? And connect in person. See how that feels. Do you feel excited? Do you feel lit up? Do you feel in your purpose? Then like keep doing that and finagle that until it works, right? Anything can work. I just feel like people don't immediately get the result they want because just of delayed gratification and how tricky that is with technology. And then they stop and they say, it's not working. Honestly, anything can work if you give it enough time and you tinker with the process enough. The book is only over when you fucking put down the pen, and people are just too quick to throw in the towel. And I understand also that some people like have to, right? It's I don't have the money for this. I can't sustain. I must go back, get more hours, whatever. But truthfully, anything given enough time and energy and tinkering can and will work. And this person has a full-time job that I left being a lawyer sooner than I wish I would have. To be completely honest, I wish that I had stayed in practice and tinkered with my business longer, but I didn't. And I also think I kind of needed that because I think golden handcuffs would have definitely kept me there probably forever. I really believe that everything is always working out for me. So maybe I don't wish I would have, but I always tell my clients, my God, it would have been easier. Me mentally, and there's two different kinds of people, right? So I'm someone who, I don't like that back against the wall feeling. I don't respond well to it. Some people do. Some people become Rocky Balboa. I fight, flight, freeze, or fawn hard. So it really depends on how you're wired. But this other point that I was making was content. Some people are like, I don't know what to post. I don't have enough ideas. It's like, I never feel that way. I could keep this recording on and yap at you for 24 hours, probably continuously. Honestly, more. I like to keep episodes under 30 minutes because that's how I am as a listener. If I see an episode over 30 minutes, I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Absolutely not. You have to be someone who I deeply want to hear from and learn from in order for me to keep listening. That's just my own prerogative, and I feel like I record and do and be and serve and coach in the way that I appreciate and I like. So, if that resonates with you, amazing. If not, there are more long form content creators out there. So by all means, please find the thing that works for you. But in terms of ideas, I have so many ideas. I have so many ideas that I've asked my assistant not to send me content ideas. I do 2 trends for her a week because she thinks trends are good for each. And I'm like, let's go, girl. But truthfully, like, I have ideas written out. I'm literally looking at them here, in this notebook. They're all over the place. I am not at a loss for ideas. I saw this post today that I really didn't agree with. It's like, let's talk about how hard it is to be creative when you're a business owner. I don't feel that at all. Microdosing. And this is the thing. Okay, this is the really thing that I was getting at with her. It's that I don't overthink things. I don't have analysis paralysis. I don't have perfectionism. And this is what I see so much in my clients. This is what I'm witnessing in this woman, right? So I used to really struggle with the voice in my head of like, is this the right next step? What if this doesn't work out? Or maybe I should do this. All this bargaining that happens stops you from taking action. But when you quiet down that voice that's bargaining, that's like second guessing, that's doubting, that's telling you, oh, not this, that, I don't have an internal barrier. I don't have internal friction. So I just take action. I take action, I reassess. I take action, I reassess. But so many people never get into the action taking mode because of that voice, and honestly that voice really takes up so much energy. So it really ties into this other point of I don't struggle to focus and I don't lack energy. A big part of it is because I don't have internal friction, and I'm not on Adderall. I'll tell people very honestly, like I did use Adderall when I was in law school and when I was an attorney, and I don't like it. I don't like the come down of it. I haven't been on Adderall in years. It just, I feel so zapped on the back end. It's like, why would you even do it? And I have so much great natural energy from the process of microdosing, but it's not just like microdosing gave me energy. It's that microdosing took away the voice in my head that was yapping so that therefore I can just give my energy to what's in front of me. And I said on the post, it helps me stay in the zone, auto zone, which it does, you guys. And then finally, I take bold, courageous action all the damn time. And then my coach said this. I asked her, hey, what do you notice about me that's different than other clients? You might not be able to attribute it directly to microdosing because she doesn't microdose, but I'm asking you for feedback, and I'll be honest with myself about whether this is something that was like innately me or a skill I had to build. This one was definitely a skill I had to build because she said, more than anything, you just take action. You ask for feedback and you do it. No questions, no excuses. And you don't complain if a strategy doesn't work. You just come back, tell me about it, and ask for a new one. You don't tie your self-worth to your business, and you just do what you got to do and pivot when you need to. And I said, none of these things are just who I am, okay? Because I was thinking about running my business like in the beginning, and it freaking sucked. I was so stuck in analysis paralysis. I didn't understand. I didn't know what to do. I spent so much time ideating and spending 2 hours on a post because I wanted to say the exact thing and really capture my message and sha-la-la-la. And I had no paying clients and I had nothing to fucking show for it, okay? I had nothing to show for it. And I spent so much time trying to get it right and thinking and planning and learning. And only once I started taking action and doing the thing and getting out there and responding to what, you know, people actually wanted and needed, did I find success in my business. But there is no magic formula. There's no magic formula. And I know people want to hear that so much, but more than anything, I just want you to go fucking take an action, okay? The thing that you've been perseverating on, whether it is thinking about booking the trip or going on a date or doing something in your business, or something for your health, like go do something, process whatever information, whatever feedback you get from it, and then do another thing. So my integration for you this week is I want you to be super honest with yourself. Where are you stalling? Learning is stalling. And this comes from a learner. This comes from someone with the Juris Doctor right here, okay? Learning, what is this on my degree? Learning is stalling. Learning is not doing anything. Learning is not moving the needle. Learn something, of course, but then implement it, okay? If you listen to a podcast and you hear a great idea, you're not allowed to listen to another podcast till you go take action on the idea that you got from that podcast, okay? If you're reading a book about dating, you're not allowed to read another book about dating until you go put into practice something you learned from that book. It goes back to the whole idea of integrating, right? So many people are absorbing, very few are integrating. This is the biggest gap I see. It's not just in your business, it's all over. You got to take action, babe. I can almost guarantee you. You know, if you're listening to this podcast and you're like one of those people who just full steams ahead and is constantly in action and never really takes time to reflect and notice patterns and do anything like that, then sure, your integration is to block off 30 minutes in your calendar to not do anything, but rather to honestly ask yourself some questions about like what's been working really well, what hasn't, what do I feel most excited by, what's something in my calendar that is really just filler that I could let go, right? All of those are very valuable questions to ask yourself. If you're someone who just steamrolls through and like takes massive action all the time, that's more your integration. But I'm going to guess, just based on what I can see anecdotally and what I see statistically, you're probably someone who could take more action. I'm not saying, you know, every single person listening to this is, but just the vast majority of the population really is just someone who could take more action. So what are we doing? Literally respond to that question. What are we doing? What are we doing? DM me. Let me know what action you're going to take. Or better yet, save your little DM until after you've taken it and then DM me and tell me what in the heckaroonie are we doing? What did we do? Okay, tell me, send me a picture. And if you're like, okay, this is great, but I do feel like I have a lot of the hangups that you were talking about that you don't have, and I'd be interested in microdosing, then awesome. What I want you to do is I want you to rate this episode, write a review, an honest one, on Apple, on Spotify, screenshot it, send it to me. You can DM me on Instagram. You can submit it on my website or to my email, and then I will send you a code for $100 off my introduction program. That's not really the word I'm looking for. Introductory program, Unbreakable, which is a 30-day microdosing program delivered to you entirely via text. It is a great place to begin. That's 40% off. It ends up being $147. It's totally a no-brainer. It's changed so many people's lives. You can check out Unbreakable on my website. There's a slew of testimonials about it, and you can get started microdosing and get out of your own damn way and start taking more action. So review my podcast, send me a screenshot of it. I will send you that coupon code, and you can get started microdosing in a way that is super supportive, it's integrated, and it's going to change your life so you can get out of your own damn way and start taking action. Okay, I love you so much. Have an awesome day. Talk to you soon. That's the end of today's trip. But remember, the real magic has always been inside of you. If this episode landed, send it to a friend who's ready to step into their next level. And make sure you're following the show so you never miss a dose. I'll be back again soon with another day on the path to your most limitless life. And until then, trust yourself, follow your intuition, and keep asking, how good can it get?